Mic check.
Sounds good.
Good afternoon, everyone. It is now 4 o'clock. I'd like to welcome everyone to the Richland County Transportation Ad Hoc Committee meeting for October 26, 2021. At this time, the meeting has been called to order. Madam Clerk, would you be willing to take the roll, please?
Malinowski.
Here.
McBride. Present. Livingston.
Here.
Overture Walker.
Here.
Mackey.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Second item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from the September 28th, 2021 meeting. Do I have a motion?
Move for approval. Second.
Okay. That motion has been properly moved to second. Any discussion? All right, Madam Clerk, take the vote, please.
Malinowski.
Yes.
McBride.
Yes.
Livingston.
Yes.
Overture Walker.
Yes.
Mackey.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the adoption of the agenda. Mr. or Director Maloney, any changes to the agenda or any additions?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you. Do I have a motion for the adoption of the agenda?
I move, Mr. Chair.
Second.
Okay, that motion has been moved to properly second. Madam Clerk, you take the vote, please.
Malinowski.
Yes.
McBride.
Yes.
Livingston. Overture Walker.
Yes.
Mackey.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is item 4, so item for action. Item 4A, which is the Three Rivers Greenway Funding Phase 2. So on pages 7 through 14 of your agenda. Director Maloney, would you be willing to, discuss this particular item with the council?
Yes, sir. Thank you, members of the Ad Hoc Committee for Transportation and council members. On this, we have, as the chairman mentioned, we have 14 pages. I'd be referring to the strategic and generative discussion, which illustrates the amounts, and there's two parts to this, this request. One is the project itself, which is a request from outside the county with the River Alliance, and the second part is where does the money come from within the penny. And so the first part is that the project would essentially be a joint effort with the River Alliance. The River Alliance and the Boyd family would be providing all the design and permitting for the project and the construction costs for the bridge across the Broad River. The other items which get to that bridge from the existing phase, or Section A, Phase 1 area would be provided by the penny. And so the county staff would be managing the development of the trail from south of Highway 126, where the trail leaves off, underneath the bridge, and then various boardwalks and at-grade trails getting to the large bridge that would be crossing the Broad River. From that point on, the River Alliance will be managing the actual bridge going across the Broad River, as well as the construction costs for that. So there are letters that came in from the River Alliance and the request, and the amount that they were requesting in May was, just a rough 1.8 to 2 million. When staff sat down with the River Alliance more recently in September, identified that as 2.2 million to complete the part of the project that gets to the Broad River bridge. So their request is $2.2 million. Where that money comes from: there are 18 bikeway projects that have previously been on the list of not approved to happen by SCDOT, and the review of various letters and emails we received in the Transportation Department since approximately 2018. And the dollar amount associated with those projects, as well as one other one that the Transportation identified as a unlinked small cul-de-sac that had a bikeway on it that made no connection anywhere would be the 19th project, and the total of all those 19 projects has a referendum value of $3.7 million. So in essence, at this time, we have $3.7 million of projects that aren't planning on moving forward in that greenways, bikeways area, but these are all bikeways. And the outside request is for $2.2 million. So that's what we would have available to fund that. Staff makes no recommendation because it is kind of moving a referendum amount, and would leave that to committee and council.
Director Maloney. Questions from my colleagues? Councilwoman McBride, you are recognized. And Councilman Malinowski afterwards, and then Councilman Livingston.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, I need a better explanation, or someone help me to understand how does this fit into the referendum and the priorities that were set for funding?
Yes, ma'am. Turning to page 9, which has a map in about the upper 2/3 of the page labeled Project Scope and Cost of Three Rivers Greenway Extension. It identifies this as one of the referendum projects from Interstate 26 to the zoo and beyond, to connect to Boyd Island, and then to connect across the Broad River. There was a Section B that I don't believe is going forward in here, the project from Granby Park to Riverfront Park, shown on that map, which is a lone segment down more central to the city.
Following you. And for the referendum amount, what was the amount that we went back and we de-scoped and re-scoped? Well, what was the amount for this particular initiative?
On 2014 dollars, we had an estimated total cost of $10,252,747. I believe, though, with the referendum amount, I don't know if I have.
I think on page 8, Mr. Maloney, if you see that, it says, right down the third paragraph down.
Yeah, I think it's paragraph 3, the referendum assigned.
Yes, $7,902,242 was set aside in the referendum.
For this particular initiative, just for this that we're discussing, what we're voting on now?
No, ma'am, that was for the entire...
No, I'm talking about for what we're discussing now. Was that a specified amount for this? Because we usually divide the various projects. So for this one, how much was requested or recommended?
I don't know. There was a breakdown of that.
So you're correct on some of our other greenways. They are broken up into sections, such as Crane Creek, Section A, B, and C. And at one time, I believe in 2018, 2019, the PDT did bring forth a memo recommending to combine some of those and shift funding. Three Rivers was never broken up into sections like that. It was just one lump sum project called Three Rivers Greenway.
Because I remember Section A, B, and C. So that might be another, okay. So it was always it's one section for 10.9 million, or whatever the amount you just gave me.
7.9, ma'am.
7.9 million.
I think the updated estimate is what I was reading earlier at 10.2 million, but the referendum amount was originally the 7.9 million. And where we are right now with what has been completed is, if 7.9 million, we'd be at 7.750. So we're $150,000 is what we have in balance remaining, and some of that would be necessary to close out Section A, Phase 1, which is near completion. So basically, we don't have a balance there, and that's why we're looking at the only option for this would be to shift funds.
So That's where I'm getting to now. So we're over the referendum amount, and in order to fund this, we need to go back in and take funding from from the same pot of money, but it could affect other funding areas.
Yes, ma'am, you could put that money wherever, your priority was. This is just an outside request coming in to put it in this location, yeah.
So we have addressed all of the other priorities that were in that area.
Yes, ma'am.
They have already been addressed. That we just have this, for lack of a better term, surplus.
Surplus from bikeways that won't occur.
Okay.
Right.
Thank you. That's what I needed.
And, Mr. Malinowski, your
Hey, Mr. Chair, Director Maloney, either I'm not looking at this properly or the figures that you have here in front of us just, they don't add up to me. On page 9, as you stated, the estimated total project cost of A and B is $10.2 million. I'm just going to round the figures out here. $10.2 million. You stated the referendum amount that was appropriated for the overall project was $7.9 million. Therefore, and if the Boyd family is contributing $3.6 million, that's $11.5 million, but you're telling us we need 10.2. So we've got more money than we need. So I don't understand why we're going back and taking money from these, I won't say unfunded, but unproduced projects.
It's a good question, sir. The $10.2 million, of course, 2014 dollars was an estimate performed sometime
Well, then why don't
ago.
we have the current estimate? What's the current estimate?
The current estimate is...
I can only deal with what you give me here.
Right, close to $7.9 million right now for Section A, Phase 1, and $2.2 million for Section A, Phase 2. In our contribution, that also, includes what is going on with the...
That's what I just said.
Right.
You've said that the estimated, you just told me now it's 10.1. And in 2014 dollars, you had 10.2.
Mm-hmm.
So it's less than the 2014 dollars.
In 2014, I'm not aware that they were looking at what others were contributing to the project at that time.
No, but right now, you said Section A was 7.9, B was 2.2. That totals 10.1.
Mm-hmm.
If 7.9 is already attributed to be used for both projects,
Mm-hmm.
when you add the 3.6 that the Boyd family is willing to commit, that comes to 11.5. You only need 10.1. That makes a 1.4 million excess. Why do we need to use any other funds?
I think, sir, when you add those numbers up, we're close to $8 million plus $2 million, so we're at a little 10.1, as you said, and then add 3.6 to that. We're at 13.7 million.
You didn't say the 3.6 was another expense. You gave me two expenses for everything to be done, 7.9 and 2.2. So there's another expense now?
No, sir, that's what's being contributed by others, by the Boyd family.
The 3.6?
Yes, sir.
That's exactly what I'm saying, Director Maloney. We need 10.1. With the contribution, we're at 11.5. So we're over what we need. So I don't understand why we are even considering the 3.8 unencumbered funds from the disapproved bikeways. We don't need to. We're where we need to do. And further on in the letter, it says that if the county provides, we'll just round it up, $2 million, then the Boyd family will give $3 million. Well, I don't know why we need to give the $2 million. If they're giving the 3, we're over what we need.
No, sir, I would take 3.6 million, add it to the 2.2. That's 5.8 and 8. So we're at 13.8 million. So that's what we're saying the project in 2021, 2022.
All right, I'm not going to sit here and go back and forth. It's obvious you've got something different there than from what I've got here and you're explaining to me because I don't understand it, period. So I'd like you to come back with exactly what we're talking about millions of dollar-wise here. Also, the letter to Chairman Livingston, May 12th, on page 10, starts out, the River Alliance proposed and Richland County Council accepted the Saluda Riverwalk as a complete project. I'd like to see those minutes where this council did approve it. I don't think we just take somebody's, now I'm not saying they're not telling the truth, but I still think we need to have backup information that confirms what we're doing when we're talking about millions of dollars here. Have we had talks with Columbia? Well, is where the new bridge leaving the island and going into West Columbia, is that a Richland County or is that Lexington County, that portion of West Columbia?
That's city. Yeah, Richland County.
Is Richland County, okay. Have we had talks with both West Columbia and the city of Columbia to make sure they are in agreement with this taking place?
With the city of Columbia.
Well, I would think we need to also talk to West Columbia if we're going to be putting something over on their riverbank.
Yeah, no, sir. This would just be this. Wouldn't involve West Columbia.
You're saying now we did involve them?
Yeah, no, it's all city of Columbia in this location.
Is Boyd Island privately owned, or is it part of the city or West Columbia or the state or what?
Donated it.
City of Columbia? Okay. And is there any type of memorandum of understanding that will be created for the use of Boyd Island if we approve all these funds to do all this development to and from the island? Or are we going to see that after this is completed, a year from now, we wind up seeing an amusement park put there where somebody else is benefiting from the taxpayer funds that's privately owned? Do we have anything like that in place right now?
This will require an agreement.
Well, I think those are some of the things that we need to see prior to making any commitments here. What's the zoning category for this island? I think we should be told that information, along with the development that may take place, along with the council minutes showing that the council allegedly accepted that particular proposal. I'd like to see exactly what was proposed and what was approved. You've got a map here on page 12 which shows a bridge going to the island, but nowhere in an aerial view do we have where the bridge comes off of the island. I think we should be given the complete information here, not just this other little sketch that we were given on page 9. I'd like to see the complete aerial view, which would be a very realistic view of what we're talking about. So, for all those reasons, with all that information that I would like to see, I cannot support this at this time until we're given additional information to know what we're talking about. I mean, it's easy enough for me to tell you, Director Maloney, I'm going to give you $100 to help fix your car. But in turn, you got to put $80 of your own money into it. You may not have the $80. So, thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm finished.
Well, now you recognize Mr. Livingston.
Mr. Chair, I would certainly try to help resolve some of the convoluted confusion here. A lot of things that were said was just not accurate too. What we're talking about is, we started out with Three Rivers Greenway with an original scope. And with that original scope, which included A and B sections, with that original scope, the funds that were appropriated for that original scope was simply not enough to complete the Three River Greenway. With that said, we were fortunate enough to have a philanthropist to come forward and say, I'm committed to helping y'all get through phase 2 of this wonderful project for your community. And phase 2 is going to require some $6.8 million. Well, 5.8, I think it was. And I'm willing to commit $3.6 million to help you with that, if you can just come up with the rest, so we can get this so we can get this phase completed. This is the same foundation that, some of y'all recently went to a wonderful event at Historic Columbia, where the foundation provided funds for that wonderful garden there. Some of y'all visited the Boyd Plaza, that's on Main Street. This is just an opportunity for us to get something done. And our staff is recommending we do it with funds that are in this category that are unspent, and the projects that was designed, these funds were designed for are no viable projects from that particular category. And I recall one of the major components and things that we talked about when we talked about the transportation penny was to try as much as you can to leverage funding from other sources. And we did that. We went and begged for grants and other things too. Now here we have someone volunteering to provide funding to help us complete the original scope of this particular project. It's nothing new that we're not adding on and saying that this is part of what the committee that started the penny program came up with. We just simply did not have enough funds in the transportation program to fund these. So I'll urge my colleagues to seriously consider this and realize that it's not directly affected in other particular projects. And with that said, Mr. Chair, I'd like to move for approval.
Motion, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Then we'll properly second. Mr. Malinowski, you're recognized.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Livingston, I guess you're getting the 5.8 by adding some figures together in this letter from the River Alliance, but I don't see anywhere in here, unless I missed it, where our staff has told us we need $5.8 million to complete Phase 2. Is that somewhere in here, Director Maloney?
Sir, request to speak? Yes. That was the addition of $3.6 million being provided by the Boyd family and the $2.2 million being requested of the transportation.
And these are figures that we've been given by somebody else. Has the transportation department gone out and confirmed them and made sure that these are figures we need? And I say that because what if you need $6 million, or what if you only need $5.5 million? I think you all should know that, not just take some figures that someone else gave you and say, okay, well, let's move forward with it. And next thing you know, we got another problem, another shortfall.
Sure.
Respond, Mr. Miller, Director Maloney, if you may.
Yes, staff did, and that was the difference between the May and September numbers coming from the letter there. The staff had reviewed the cost estimate, and where they had 2 to 2.1 million, that was refined by staff to 2.2 million.
Okay, I'd still, until I get the answers to those questions I gave you, and if you need me to send you an email later tonight or tomorrow, I'll be glad to do it.
Did you make a motion?
I did. Well, I mean, I would make a motion that we defer this until the entire committee can get all of this information.
I'll second.
Well, I believe there's already a motion on the floor.
Making a substitute motion.
By Mr. Livingston.
I'm making a substitute motion. We defer this until all the information that has been requested is provided to this committee.
It's been
I'll
a second. It's been a second. Okay. Discussion. All right. Madam Clerk, take the vote.
Malinowski,
Yes.
McBride,
Yes.
Livingston,
No.
Overshaw Walker,
No.
Mackey.
No.
Motion fails.
All right, that brings us back to the original motion. Any discussion with respect, any further discussion with respect to the original motion, which was a motion for approval? Okay. Madam Clerk, you take the vote?
Malinowski,
No.
McBride,
No.
Livingston,
Yes.
Overshaw Walker,
Yes.
Mackey.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Move to adjourn.
Second?
Okay. And Madam Clerk, take the vote?
Malinowski,
Yes.
McBride,
Yes.
Livingston,
Yes.
Overshaw Walker,
Yes.
Mackey.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, we are adjourned.